Now that all the memes have died down, we can sit down and actually examine just what the hell is going on with Suicide Silence. Especially considering here in a couple of days they are going to be releasing their brand new album. The album that has caused and sparked so much talk, so much argument, and so much anger based off of singles such as Doris. Really, the question is, what has happened to this band? But really, I think the answer that this video is going to really describe is why, after this album is complete, Suicide Silence should probably take a little bit of a break. And one of the main reasons why this is definitely true is the fact that the image of this group is kind of being deteriorating piece by piece ever since the release of Doris. The song itself is, of course, one that was, whenever it was released, was meant to sort of herald the brand new album coming out. It was supposed to be a very good experience, a great day for Suicide Silence fans and fans of heavy metal alike, that, of course, instead became a day that was hotly contested and was met with a lot of negative reaction. And based off of that, the band fired back, with their drummer definitely taking exception to a lot of things that were spoken on social media by various fans, and then Eddie Hamina kind of just going off the deep end and going crazy, causing me to wonder, Eddie, what the heck has happened to you? Does he have a couple of great points that he mentioned against Die Artist Murder's lead singer CJ? Maybe at times here and there, but in reality, Eddie and the boys right now are in a situation that could be only seen as DEFCON 5, with Suicide Silence's brand new release looming and the potential that this could be seen as one of the worst albums of the year, and really, it could be painted as that prior to it even dropping. It might already be painted to that, to that tune, really, in some heavy metal circles. Doris and the other single that they have gotten, whose name I don't even care about at this point, may have done enough damage for this band where those that would be traditionally kind of cautiously optimistic about the album now will immediately dismiss it almost instantaneously, perhaps not giving it that fair chance that they would have had Doris, either that or some of the blow-ups that the members showcased after its release would have occurred. Amazingly enough, this is a band that has not really been treading on thin ice over the past couple of years, but over the past couple of months have almost instantaneously become from sort of a band that just keeps on trucking to a potential pariah, almost a sacrificial lamb of the deathcore genre. And it has the opportunity where it could potentially also follow Eddie if he decides to go back to All Shall Perish. So this is something that could actually be just the foundation being ripped out of one of the core focus points of the deathcore community. Hence the reason why the video, The Decline of Deathcore, was made. This is one that could have some far-lasting effects, or it actually has a secondary purpose. With bands such as Lorna Shore showcasing their capability, perhaps deathcore is now being sort of, passed over into some more capable hands, those that are now being seen with a little bit more favor. Now, the second wave of many products of heavy metal or any sort of musical genre hardly seems to match the real ferocity, either that or the wow factor, the surprise of the first. Simply put, it's not new anymore. It's instead something that is building on the characteristics of a previously implemented movement. So perhaps these bands are able to add a little bit of something to the fold, but if the first wave didn't already impress individuals, it does have the opportunity to impress with the second. But with many of those who love the first wave, the second may just seem like bona fide pretenders. But this is a band in Suicide Silence that certainly should take a little bit of an identity look after the release of this album and after the subsequent touring cycle. It may be time for Suicide Silence to take a step back and maybe take a little bit of rest, especially if this album ends up being universally panned. If this album ends up actually having some fairly decent reviews and being seen by many as sort of just an exhibition as to how a bad single can potentially tarnish a actually halfway decent album, then really you ignore the idea that they need to sort of go away and rebuild a little bit. However, this is an album that happens to be universally panned by critics and fans alike. After the subsequent tour, Suicide Silence may want to regroup and take some time to really reconsider what they are all about, not to mention see where they want to take their musical product. Now, changing up your sound is something that other bands have been able to do, such as Bring Me the Horizon, and they've definitely taken a lot on the chin, but have eventually been able to secure some acclaim for taking the risks. And plus, nothing has really ever felt like it was an all-out slap in the face. It's always felt like this band has had the capability, or perhaps the idealism, in order to maybe take this direction, to really take this right turn, almost like sowing the seeds. And this is something that I don't think was true with Suicide Silence. You definitely saw where the band was going to change a little bit up, but Doris felt like it was so far out of left field that it left many metal fans confused. And after the negative reaction caused the band to go into full-out defense mode, I think that's what confused fans even further, but then actually just led to infuriation. Either way, Suicide Silence, after the subsequent tour for this album, may want to consider doing a little bit of rebuilding, especially if the album, as I said, is universally panned. This could be something that's very good for the band. It means that if in a couple of years they decide to reconvene and release another album, they actually have one of their worst moments already out of the way. And now all they have to do is release competent music. It doesn't have to be a return to form to the first couple of albums. It doesn't have to necessarily be the resurrection of Mitch Lucker through the name or the voice of somebody else. It instead just has to be an album that showcases competency and maybe acceptance that what they were attempting before was a bit of a bona fide mistake. But at the end of the day, bands do reserve the right to really pay attention and really do what they want with their sound. If this is what Suicide Silence wants to embrace, and they actually decide to go about it, well, that's fine. They certainly have that, they have that prerogative. But it is something where they are going to have to grow a little bit of thicker skin, considering I don't see fans necessarily warming up to the sound right away. It's instead going to be something where if it's eventually termed as genius, it's certainly going to be one that subtly breeds as opposed to happens all at once. But what do you guys think? If Suicide Silence's brand new album, which is due out this Friday, is universally panned, do you think that this band really needs to take a break? Maybe take a step back? Or do you think that they're fine just the way that they are? Let me know in the comments below. I'm Cover Killer Nation, and I'll talk to you next time. Take care.